Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me at the market site in Times Square, we have Jeff Rosica. He's the CEO of Avid. We're going to talk about the evolving media landscape and managing peak content. Jeff, it's great to have you with us at Market Site.
Thanks, Jill. Good to be here.
Content is king, and you've
Sure
been
is.
in the media business for quite some time. Let's spend a couple seconds on how it has evolved.
Yeah, I've been in the business now around 33 years. Became CEO of Avid Technology about a little over a year ago. And the industry is changing dramatically right now. I kind of equate it to almost like a next gold rush happening, in which, content, as you said, content is king. There's a huge explosion in content creation driven by a lot of these OTT or direct-to-consumer models like Disney Plus and Netflix and Hulu, et cetera. But just in general, the tools are available to a lot wider group of people. So there's almost a democratization of content creation happening, and that's really creating a huge growth in content.
Now, what about reimagining the entire media value chain?
Well, I think it has to be reimagined. The industry worked pretty much as it did for many decades, quite frankly. Even though new technology came along when they moved to digital or HD, it really was traditionally a similar workflow. But what's happened now, because in the content creation world, people are creating so much more content, so much faster, and so it's all about efficiency. How to get more efficient on time, more efficient on resources, and in general, more efficient on costs. So there's a lot of work being done from an operational standpoint, and these are businesses and they've got to do things efficiently. So there's a lot of change there. There's also a lot of change on the creative side.
Do you think it's almost content overload? There's so many platforms now, and no longer everything's going to be on Netflix, but now it's going to go to the individual content creators. It's almost like it's so fragmented. It kind of reminds me years ago with the cable companies. There was so much out there. What's it going to be like for the consumer?
I think for the consumer, I think the technology we have today with with a smartphone and the applications that run on these smartphones, I think whether you're using it on a smartphone or you're doing it on a smart TV, it is quite easy to find the content today. I think the tools are really there to help the consumer find the content they want and kind of curate the content they're looking for.
Right.
So I don't think it'll be like the cable world. I think we can control now. This is a democratized world for content creation. We're choosing what we want to watch, when we want to watch it, where we want to watch it. That changes a lot in the business. So I think it'll be a pretty good trend.
You also talk a lot about corporate culture, emphasizing transparency and accountability. Yes. Tell us more about that.
Well, when I took over as CEO of Avid, I'd been there a few years, so I was able to see what was working, what wasn't working in the company, and I could see there was a big need for change of culture, not just creating the right culture for today's environment, but also as a technology company, we invented a lot of the technology that's used today to create content, nonlinear editing or sound mixing. And so for us, as being a 30-year-old plus technology company, we also have to make sure we're staying fresh and staying new. So a lot of work we're doing around creating the right culture in the environment. Also, tech is an area where women in tech and women in media and people of color, this is something that is really lacking in our industry. So we're putting a lot of focus around that too. And a lot of hard work to do. It's going to take a long time to correct it, but I think it's something we're really focused on as a company.
All right, let's wrap up with utilizing groundbreaking technology. What will this do to improve the way the media ecosystem operates?
Well, I think there's kind of three things I see going on. One is there's a lot of tools coming to the creative world. If you look at what people can watch on TV today, or I say TV, on whatever device they're looking on, there's really a lot of creative power that we put in the hands of people today, and they can do things that, watch a Game of Thrones episode and see what they can do in that type of a 1-hour TV program. But secondly, as I talked about before, efficiency. So all about creating platforms that can really drive efficiency in a production standpoint. And then we have to deal with issues that are popping up, like the idea of deep fakes or other information like fake news. We've got to create the tools it takes to really help make sure that the companies that create the content and those who view the content can determine what is real. So things like that we have to work on.
It's going to be interesting to see how the media industry evolves over the next 5 to 10 years as well.
Yes, it will be. It's an exciting place. I think it's a great place to be. The business of media is an exciting place right now, and being a technology provider is really a great place to be.
Well, I agree with you on that. It is fun being in media. Thank you so much,
Right,
Jeff,
thanks.
for joining us on Trade Talks.
Appreciate
And thank you for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.